Susan, I'm doing
Good. Did you have you ridden the trolley?
No, we just came back.
Oh,
you know,
David.
Gonna, but I haven't. But I've been watching it like a hawk, and it's been running pretty full.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
on weekends.
On the weekends it's full.
So I'm very pleased to see that.
Yeah.
I'm on the Kern Place Association board.
Yeah.
And so our next board meeting is going to be on the trolleys. So on the street front. So I'll definitely ride it.
I love it. That's wonderful, wonderful. Okay.
No, we haven't done that. Oh, you haven't? And it's just a short deal, so we're gonna get a taste of it.
Let's see. What do we have? We're almost there. It's not quite 9 yet. We ready? Okay, good morning, everybody. We're going to call the Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority Board into session on December 12th, 2018 at 9 a.m. First item is, second item, adoption of minutes of the RMA board meeting of November 14th, 2018.
Motion to approve? Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Item number 3, presentation and discussion on the following items related to the 2013 El Paso Comprehensive Mobility Plan. A, update on change orders recently approved by the Executive Director, and B, quarterly update on program status. Mr. Tez?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Raymond Tejas, Executive Director of the Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority. As read into the record, item 3A deals specifically with the change orders recently approved. We have Edgar Fino from our General Engineering Consultant team here to present on this item. And he, in fact, actually will also present on item B, which is the quarterly update on the CMP.
Good morning, Madam Chair,
Good
board
morning.
members. Edgar Fino with the GEC. PowerPoint presentation, please. I will be going over change orders in regards to one of the projects that's under construction. Old Waco Tanks Road. We're currently working out there with the contractor to finalize punch list items from TxDOT. Change orders 1 through 7 have already been presented to the board at previous meetings. Same thing with change orders 8 through 14. I'm here to discuss change order number 15, which was to add time to the contract for surface prep, and then just to add time that TxDOT agreed to. This is a $0 change order. It's just to add a couple of days that we ironed out with TxDOT in regards to the work that's occurring. Change order number 16 is electrical charges. For 2 transformers that El Paso Electric works on. We're not allowed to get on to their property or to work on their property. So El Paso Electric does the work, and then they invoice the contractor, and that change order was $3,646.78. And that completes the change order presentations, if you have any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Fino? Okay.
Moving along to item B. Okay, this is the update on our construction projects that are ongoing as far as the quarterly report. I enjoy this just to bring the board on board or bring you up to date as far as what's going out of the field construction-wise. I mean, there's orange barrels, there's detours, there's orange signs out there within the RMA projects that are really exciting, because the end product is really, really great. I mean, we just the short period I've been here, Old Waco Tanks opened up, Rojas opened up, East Lake 2. So, I mean, these projects are blowing and going, and it takes a team effort, including the contractor, to go out there and build these projects. We've got 3 projects that are currently under design. Darrington Road from East Lake to Pelicano, Mission Ridge 2 to complete the middle portion of it, to close the gap, and then the Pelicano project. Projects under construction, Vista del Sol, Old Waco Tanks, Rojas, and East Lake 1. And then projects funded by the CRRMA is Greg Edgemere, that's still under construction. Completed projects, Mission Ridge Boulevard, this is one of the earlier projects that was completed. The National Historic Trail, the signing job, and then East Lake 2 as far as completed projects, as far as closing them out document-wise. I know the roads have been open, the signs have been installed, but closing out the projects document-wise to finalize them. First project under design, Darrington, that's from Pelicano to East Lake Boulevard. Invoice to date, $914,914.08. We're at 95% for Darrington. We're about ready to finish the design, and we will get ready to bid it out for construction. Mission Ridge 2, to fill the gap, we're also at 95% design. We're looking at a February bid opening, tentative date to bid it out to contractors so we can start working on this construction project. But we're still in the design phase. We're almost done. Once we get at 100%, then we will bid it out to the contractors and we will start working on filling in the gap. Next project is Pelicano. That's from Loop 375 heading east to Darrington. On this one here, invoice to date is $1,286,652.85. We're at 95% schematic, which is the preliminary design, and we are 95% design. Schematic and design can go concurrent. And that's what we've been doing here with the CRRMA consultant that's designing this project. And all these projects, all these design projects, the County of El Paso has been a major player in regards to providing us input in a timely manner. If we run into any roadblocks, they're answering the questions that we need answered to continue the process. So the county has been heavily involved on a day-to-day basis on all these three design projects. Now let's go to construction as far as what's been built. Invoice to date to the contractor, $3,085,405.66. Complete to date, we're at 63.50%. And right now, working on phase one, the installation of landscape and then the cleanup, getting ready for the final walkthrough from Paseo Grande to Cherrington, which is phase one of this project. That's the installation of landscape items looking east on Vista del Sol. And then some hand cleanup as far as looking east. So when the final walkthrough occurs, that portion will open to the traveling public as far as the road being built on phase one. Old Waco Tanks. It's been signed for Nuevo Waco Tanks Road. Contract amount is $7,520,127.90. With the change orders that have occurred on that project, the dollar amount is at $7,857,588.67, and we've invoiced for construction purposes $7,509,351.33. We're at 95.57% complete. We are working on closing out this project. There's a few pending change orders that we will present to the board when they're executed, and then we're finalizing the cleanup last change order as far as underruns and overruns. Here's the picture as far as opening the traffic looking north. That's that North Loop intersection looking north on Old Waco Tanks. And then there's the portion of the road as far as looking south from I-10 looking towards North Loop. Rojas Drive, this project here is open to the public. Change orders as far as adjusted contract amount, we're at $4,132,243.38. Invoice to date, $3,832,222.65. And completion, we're at 92.74%. And this road was open to the public on September 11th, which was a great accomplishment on our end, because the traveling public is able to use Rojas while East Lake 1 is under construction. So we had 2 construction zones out there. We removed one of them, and now we're down to 1. Here's some open to traffic as far as looking east. That's the intersection of East Lake as far as the signalized intersection. And then this is also looking east as far as on Rojas, as far as the road being open. All right, East Lake 1. This one is moving along rather nicely. The contractor's been heavily involved with work. Adjusted contract, we added 1 change order for $1,000, so we're at $23,654,752.53. Invoice to date is $5,695,490.79. Complete to date, we're at 24.08%. Phase 1A, East Lake northbound, opened to traffic from Rojas to Peyton. The northbound lanes were constructed and open to traffic. Currently, we are under Phase 1B, East Lake northbound, continuing the northbound construction from Peyton to Darrington, working on the installation of storm sewer, excavation embankment, flex base, and concrete pavement. There's the northbound construction that the contractor built under Phase 1A. We're using that for northbound traffic from Rojas to Peyton. And then at Peyton, we shift traffic over to the southbound direction. And it's a two-way undivided temporary road for construction purposes. But we are utilizing the new concrete road that has been constructed. This is the intersection of Peyton and Darrington. The phase from Peyton to Darrington. This is the intersection of Darrington and East Lake. This one, contractors getting ready to preparing the roadway to get the concrete installed. So we're working at the intersection with the proper traffic control needed to keep traffic moving. And then the last picture for East Lake is some of the storm sewer installation that's being done currently. Next project is the Greg Gedgemere extension. Contractor working on the final punch list items for this. Last presentation is the road was opened where the IDEA school students, administrators, parents can get to school. So that's still, that section's open and we're working on the punch list. Well, the county is as far as working on the punch list. And there's the a portion looking north with the school picture included. And that's looking east as far as open to traffic looking east. Next project is the National Historic Trail as far as recently completed projects. Invoice to date, it was $157,187.88. Complete to date, we are at 100%. So this project will be removed from the presentation since this has been completed. Those are the signs that are out throughout the county and the city limits. Next project, East Lake Phase 2. Invoice to date, $13,768,278.58. We're at 99.97% complete. Construction activities are now complete. We still have plant and irrigation maintenance that will continue per the contractor. Per the contract, the contractor will go out there twice a month to pull weeds or make sure the vegetation's still alive and the irrigation system is operational. And when the maintenance period ends, then we will close the project out 100%. There's the intersection there at the Canaso where East Lake used to end there in Horizon, and our portion, East Lake 2, continues all the way to the Farm Market Road for TxDOT at 1281. And that concludes my presentations. Is there any questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Ward.
Probably not somewhat relevant to this, and I guess my question is to you and to Mr. Tez. Who's going to maintain all this?
So it depends on the project. That's the real answer. The majority of the projects, though, are outside of municipal limits.
Right.
So those will be maintained by the county. The East Lake Boulevard Phase 2 is actually going to be maintained by Horizon City. Old Waco tanks will be maintained by the City of Socorro. Now, you may remember City of Socorro is asking TxDOT to take it on system so that TxDOT will maintain it. So that's their conversation that they'll be having. And I believe the rest of them are outside of city limits, so those will all be maintained by the county.
So,
And I'll go through the list. I'll send a correction if I missed
Okay.
any.
and not to sound skeptical or disrespectful, does the county have a street department capable at this time of maintaining this many streets and I
got
guess
some
cleanup and all
county.
that other stuff? I mean, and maybe it's not in our perusal to ask. I was just
I think
curious.
it's a good question, but
Good
we've got
morning,
someone here
Sal
from the
Alonso,
county.
Paso County
Glad
Transportation
you're here.
Program
Thank
Engineer. Thank you. Like Mr. Tails was saying, it depends on the project. The projects that are completely under our control will be maintaining would be the Vista del Sol, the Pelicano, and the Greg and Edgemere. And the other project like East Lake 2, Rojas, and Darrington will be maintained by the Paseo Este Mud that we have an agreement with them that they
Okay.
maintain all the landscaping and all the drainage infrastructure for the county. The portion on for East Lake Phase 2, there is a agreement between the town of Horizon and the developer to maintain it. So they're creating like a HOA. Majority of that land is owned by Hunt Community, so they're investing in the landscaping, so they'll be maintaining that portion as well. As far as the City of Socorro, they'll be maintaining their portion, but the county has invested a lot in these roadways, as you may see. So we had budgeted going forward through our road and bridge to continue to maintain the roadways as going forward. But as far as all the landscaping, majority of that would be maintained either by the Paseo Este Mud or the developer. The other landscaping will be maintained by the county.
Thank you. The only reason I ask, this is a huge investment by our community, and we have been guilty in past years, not today, in past years of building something and then not taking care of it.
Right.
So I just, as curiosity to educate the board on exactly how this is going to work, I asked that question. Thank you for a very good answer.
You have that was a great question to ask. I do agree. In past times, you see nice landscaping, and then it just goes out, and weeds, trees die off. But like I said, the county has invested a lot of money in their roadways, and especially in all these projects. So we're taking it serious that we would be maintaining going forward, whether it's the roadway or any landscaping. Or as you see, most of these roadways do come in with a hike and bike trail, so we'd be also maintaining the trails in this network that we're creating to eventually tie into the city's network. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Forty. Mr. Smith?
I was out in this area for the first time in over 3 months, just recently in the past week. I will tell you, I was truly amazed at what happened over that 3-month period. I think it was 3 months ago when we went out there, wasn't it? For 4 months ago.
It's been quite a long time.
I was blown away by the changes and how everything is working and how it looks like it's gonna work when it's completed. So to the county and to everybody involved in this, kudos for me. I think it's gonna be just a huge boon to that area of the county, of our region, which leads me to believe, I don't know how the remainder, with the increase in growth out there, which is going bananas as far as the developments and all of that goes. Central to east traffic and back to central is going to be something phenomenal that I think we're looking at as part of what we're doing with the Borderland Expressway, but other projects that are ongoing. But I think it's something we need to keep our finger on the pulse in the region, because that area out there with all of this road network, my feeling is it's just going to balloon. It's really going to get huge. Just a comment. Which leads me to the other comment about looking at our role as far as dealing with all the different entities as far as master planning the overall transportation in the region, which I'm still not clear how it all fits together. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Great report. Thank you for the update. We
All right,
appreciate it.
thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll go on, let's see. We're on 3B? That was 3B.
Yeah.
Okay, 4. Quarterly update on the El Paso Streetcar Project and discussion and action on a board resolution authorizing change order number 50, cleanup for the El Paso Streetcar Project. Mr. Tez?
Yes, ma'am. As you may recall, at last month's board meeting, we had a pretty thorough update on the streetcar project, so this one is a little shorter than that. We do have Gil Gardner, who's part of our general engineering consultant team. He's going to walk us through the update, and we've merged that with the information on the change order number 50. As a reminder, change order 50 is the final change orders. As you may recall, with all of our projects, we do cleanup change orders at the very end of a project, and this is on the infrastructure side, of course, and this takes care of the overruns and underruns. So Mr. Gardner will present on this item.
Good morning. I'm Gil Gardner with Atkins and the construction manager for this project for the last 3 years. And I am pleased to present today's, I'm going to call it penultimate, but an old country boy like me is the next to the last quarterly report. As I was sitting here thinking, I realized that there will probably be one more quarterly report early next year whenever the final vehicle come in and is accepted. And one of us, I don't know whether it'll be Raymond or myself, will get the honor of, shall we say, closing down this project. But today, I want to go over the infrastructure aspect of it and give you an update. Okay. The agenda we're going to discuss today is a project progress. As Raymond said, change order number 50, which is the wrap-up change order, then a summary of all the change orders, and then any questions you might have. I'd like to go over the progress here that we've done to date. We're basically 100% complete on everything with the exception of the vehicles. We're 85% complete. Now, when I say complete, we still have paperwork to do, which I'll go over in a minute. We want to make certain that everything gets fully accepted by the cities. Everything has been conditionally accepted, but we got to make certain we get our final acceptance. Left to complete is the closeout documentation for the project and for the SSO. Little clarification on the SSO closeout documentation. That's actually the responsibility of the Sun Metro to do, but we are providing support to Sun Metro as they might need it and request it. But they're doing very well right now, so they're doing that closeout documentation. And then once we get all of our closeout documentation, then we will transfer the closeout documentation over to the city, the files and everything that needs to be transferred over that they will be using, including as-built drawings. We still have to determine, shall we say, the exact format. And when I say the format, do we give it to them in a thumb drive? Do we give it to them in a hard disk? However they want it. They still need to receive and test and accept and transfer over the final vehicle, which we expect to occur. The vehicle will be arriving shortly, but we probably won't be able to accept and test it till sometime early next year. And then lastly, owner-initiated change orders, which I think Raymond will probably want to discuss a little later when we talk about the financial aspects. Revenue service, as you guys all know, we're under revenue service now. It's in service and has attained its safety certification, so it's official. We're not unofficial or anything like that. We did have a couple of recent interesting accidents.
Yes.
The first one was a personal vehicle tried to make a left turn. It's kind of a learning process for him. It was kind of a fender bender. The pickup driver was cited because he was obviously in the wrong. The streetcar operator knew exactly what to do, slowed down sufficiently such that it just was minimal stuff and it's easy to repair. The second item is just almost outlandish. I'd hate to be the fireman on that one, but I think if you guys recall, I won't go over the great depth of it, but this is just one of those, you might say, you just don't expect something like that to happen. But the nice thing about it, when it knocked over, the fire truck came over, knocked over the OCS pole. The Sun Metro staff knew exactly what to do. They went out, they made arrangements with their their contractor to do the work. Came in, got the pole up and got it running, and it was actually had a relatively minimal downtime. So it was a good learning process for them, and they really did a good job at it.
How much downtime was there?
I
Just a few
believe they actually
hours.
had it up and running later that afternoon.
Yeah.
That's my
Just a
understanding.
few hours,
The
I
next morning
think.
it was up for sure, and I believe they had it up and running by that evening.
Yeah.
Ted
That's what I
Marcus
was
from the
told.
city had mentioned that they had done tabletop exercises to prepare for that exact scenario. So they, to the extent that you can be, they were prepared. And we had left them with spare poles, and so they were ready to go.
So, what they were fortunate is because it was easier to repair because it didn't break the OCS wire. The OCS wire left hanging, and that's the way they're designed. They're designed such that if something hits the pole, there's a breakaway, so that cable that's about 1 inch in diameter doesn't break. Of course, it was draping and stuff, but they did a good job. All right. Next item is change order number 50. As you know, we had 4 base bids, and then they selected under best value the PDNT, the contractor, the joint venture of Granite, and then at a total of 49 change orders with a total of 397 bid items. Now, before I go over change order number 50, I want to give you a little bit of a background. Is when this project first started out, and we came aboard, our construction management team, we sat down with the engineer and we went through every single bid item and we established an allocated contingency that we fully expected to spend, or most of it, there. And we allocated that contingency based upon our experience of doing work. We sat with the engineer, how confident are you in the quantities and the issues in the underground? And we actually allocated roughly $4 million for this type of work, which we frankly fully expected to spend. With this change order included here, we spent about $3.5 million. So now that's just under allocated contingencies. We had other change orders for added stuff and everything like this. So from a change order standpoint from the project, this told me that the plans were actually in pretty good shape. We were able to anticipate it, and we managed to wrap all of this up here. Now, change order number 50 is the final cleanup change order. This will be the last of the change orders for the current contract value. We had 160 items underran for a total of $306,000, which is roughly 0.43% of the total contract value. We had 97 items that overran for a total of $590,000, which was roughly 0.83% of the total contract value. The overrun items consisted primarily of the paving, signing and striping. A lot of the paving overrun had to do with the case, especially going up Stanton, where we had hoped, or the designers had hoped, that they would be able to coal mill and overlay. When we got up there to coal mill, we realized the condition of the pavement was such that we just had to replace a lot of it. So they got a brand new street going up Stanton all the way up. The aggregate overrun is $283,812, or approximately 0.4% of the total contract value. The cost of this change order is $283,812, and this is the final wrap-up change order. Now, this is the projected use of funds, and what I'd like, because a lot of this Raymond has actually better control than I do, so if Raymond could kind of go over it here.
Sure. So you may recall this slide was presented to you all last month. What we did is highlighted the construction number there. The construction number at the time, as I mentioned back then, was an estimate because we were estimating change order number 50. At that time, I should say now, the actual cost of change order number 50 is less than what we were anticipating. So that the number that we were projecting back in November in terms of remaining funds was $391,801. The actual cost of the change order, as I mentioned, was less. So that means that in terms of remaining funds, there's actually $424,427.92. So this is what I've been threatening the board for quite some time. We're going to be sitting down with Sun Metro very soon to identify owner-initiated changes in terms of where they could use those funds, whether it's parts, whether it's additional training, where are those funds going to go? So we'll be sitting down with Sun Metro in the near future, and early in 2019, we'll come back to you with owner-initiated change orders. Now, I'll also mention that there could be a scenario where if they are seeking parts and they already have an existing relationship with a vendor, we may just through an interlocal agreement simply shift funds to them, make those funds available to them so they can make those purchases. So this could take various forms. Ultimately, though, there are $420,000 left over. Now, one other note, there are other areas where there could be some additional funds that get dumped into this remaining bucket. By way of example, we've got estimated figures to get us through the end of the project for legal services, for other specific items, expense items for the project that have not yet completed. So that number could bump up a bit more, but I'm very confident with $424,000 for now. So I believe that's all that we have for you, other than a request that you all approve change order number 50.
Any questions for Mr. Tejas or Mr. Gardner? No? Open for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so it's been approved. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gardner.
One more, huh?
Okay, we'll go on to item number 5, quarterly presentation and discussion on the following programs or projects. A, Borderland Expressway project, and B, general engineering consultant team's use of local resources. Mr. Tejas.
This is, as requested by the board, this is another quarterly update. This is on the Borderland Expressway project. Several of these initial slides you will remember as they have remained the same. We'll talk about, and in fact, this is really for the benefit of the public. These, as always, these PowerPoints will go up online this afternoon, so the public has access to them. This one you've seen before. This is the project description. As a reminder, this is the Borderland Expressway, which is really comprised by two projects, the Northeast Parkway in Texas and the improvements of New Mexico 213 and 404 in New Mexico, of course, connects back up to I-10. We've discussed this project a couple of times. This is the same slide as well. It identifies what TxDOT's role is, New Mexico DOT, the El Paso MPO's role. We've discussed all of that before. TxDOT also hired a consultant team, HNTB, which we've discussed. And then, of course, the RMA has directed me to work on a memorandum of understanding, which we have a draft of and we are tweaking as we move along. So these next couple of slides, that's really what we're here to talk about. These are the more recent developments. A project briefing was presented to the governing board of the MPO, and that's the Transportation Policy Board, the TPB, back on September 21st. The intention there was to receive a resolution of support so that State Representative Pickett could go to the Texas Transportation Commission with that letter of support and seek support from TxDOT to pursue this project. Well, at that meeting on September 21st, the TPB asked that the item be routed through its Transportation Project Advisory Committee, one of its subcommittees, its main subcommittee. So it was routed through that committee. After that, though, Representative Pickett did, in fact, provide a project briefing to the Transportation Commission on September 27th. And during the briefing, he actually asked TxDOT staff to review and consider the project as a potential pass-through toll project, very similar to State Spur 601, which we've discussed in the past. So that request has been forwarded to TxDOT. I believe they are considering that now. Subsequent to that, then, project briefings were made to two separate TPAC meetings. That subcommittee that the MPO requested it be routed through and returned to the Transportation Policy Board, the governing board of the MPO, on November 16th, and that resolution was approved. So the MPO has now formally provided or taken action to support the Borderland Expressway project. Follow-up meetings were held also with the City of El Paso's Economic Development Department regarding the possibility of the city updating their projections that were developed for Transportation Reinvestment Zone number 3, which, if you recall, was originally implemented by the City of El Paso to do two things: provide funding for the Trans Mountain Northeast Main Lanes Expansion Project, as well as serve as a potential funding source for the Northeast Parkway. So we've asked the Economic Development Department if they would be willing to update those projections. Those updated projections and the support for that would then be added into the infra grant that we've discussed that HNTB is developing on behalf of TxDOT. So that request is in to the city now. And then lastly, a project update was provided to City Representative Morgan on December 10th, and he expressed his continued support for this particular project. Very good meeting with the representative. And here's a copy of the resolution of support. And again, this PowerPoint will be online later this afternoon. So those are the recent developments on the Borderland Expressway. Subject to your questions, there's no action. Subject to your questions, I would move on to item 5B.
Any questions or comments?
Just one. This whole project, I think, is going to turn out to be an amazing model as far as putting the regional in what we're doing here, because it involves so many different players across such a wide spectrum that when I first got involved with this many years ago, wearing a different hat, it looked like something that really wasn't doable because of all the players and all of the different agendas of different stakeholders and all that. But as I've watched it transpire over time and coming together the way it is, I'm very impressed, and I like the definition that it will create for a potential model as we go forward with the RMA looking at other regional projects, pulling together multiple sources. And I'm impressed, Madam Chair, of the RMA, the way the things of work that I've seen out in the county and other complicated projects that go on. I think there's a huge role out there for us to make this whole region better. Just a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Go on.
That takes us then to item 5B, which is the General Engineering Consultant Team's update on team resources. Mr. Fino from Atkins will present on this item.
Madam Chair, board members, Edgar Fino with the GEC. This is the General Engineering Consultant Team Resources agenda, the labor data, the graphs, and then the firm summary. This data, as far as it's for quarter 39, from August to October, 87% was local labor, and non-local labor was at 13%. Local labor was $949,944.51, and the non-local was $138,364.25. Going to the graph, on the summary, the non-local labor dollars for the quarter, like I mentioned, was $138,364. That's the purple bar. The gold bar is local labor, which is $949,000 and $994.51. Local quarterly was that line, the orange line, that's at 87%. And the non-local is the purple line there at the bottom right at 13%. This is for the for this year in regards to the number. The non-local labor in the purple bar is $356,226.25. Local labor is the gold bar at $2,460,616.66. On the local quarterly, the percentage is at 87.35. That's that gray line at the top right. And right at the middle for cumulative for the local is at 61%. The orange line there right at the center, close to the 60%. And here are the firm summaries in regards to all the firms that have been utilized, local and non-local, throughout the years. That concludes my presentation, if there's any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Fino? Comments? Good.
All right.
Thank you for the update.
Thanks for your
Appreciate it.
time.
Okay. Item 6, discussion and action on a board resolution authorizing the executive director to execute and submit documentation of eminent domain authority to the Texas Comptroller as required by statute. Mr. Tez?
Yes, ma'am. This is done each year. This is, I believe it was started back in 2015. The Texas Comptroller now maintains a database of all the entities in the state that have the power of eminent domain. And each entity is required each year to provide information on the types of eminent domain powers that they have, when they were granted that power, and any uses of that power over the prior year. So, of course, we have had none to date and have none planned, but we do, by statute, we are required to provide this information. So that's what this is. Subject to your questions, I would recommend approval of this item.
Any questions? Comments?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, item 6 is passed. I think no other business?
No, ma'am, I
before?
would just mention, we did have quite a few reports at this meeting. If you all have any input on the way we're presenting the reports, the information provided, the format, please send me a note, give me a call, and we'll tweak it as you see fit.
Okay, all right, very good. Well, wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Drive carefully out there. Anyway, I'll motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned, the Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority at 9:43 on December 12th, 2018. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.